increased net interest income and positive fair value adjustments have resulted in solid earnings and continued profitability for the Development Bank of Southern Africa. The bank says its liquidity and capital position remains strong despite the challenging operating environment. I caught up with DBSA CEO Boitumelo Mosako for greater insight on their performance.
You know, I think the year that was for DBSA is exactly as reflected in our annual report, building on strength, expanding development impact.
Yeah, and just actually looking at the flow of disbursements, what is that saying about infrastructure need in the continent of Africa and direction?
You know, there's an estimated need, an annual need in terms of the infrastructure gap on the African continent, estimated between 140 and 170 billion dollars annually. So the opportunity for infrastructure on the continent is a very big one and a needed one.
Yeah.
You know, Africa requires infrastructure investments, and you know, because what infrastructure does is, you know, it provides access. You know, when you have access to energy, when you have access to water, access to transport, access to digital infrastructure, access to education, access to affordable housing, you know, access to healthcare. You know, those are the needs of our continent. That is the area of our focus as an institution, and that is what we will continue to focus on to ensure that we are consistently driving to narrow this infrastructure gap, not only in South Africa, but in the rest of the continent as well.
And you talk about, you know, a number of critical areas in the infrastructure space where a lot of investment is needed. And I actually want to zone in terms of South Africa. I mean, ports and rail have been the Achilles heel of the economy. Just talk to me about how DBSA has had to beef up its role in supporting that sector specifically. I did see that there was also an update, a PSP rail update today.
Yes. I mean, we work closely with the state-owned entities within the country and the rest of the continent as well. So, you know, in terms of providing funding and also doing special, you know, like investment programs to support the sectors that they operate in. You know, we provide project preparation funds for ports, project preparation funds, for instance, for One Border Post, project preparation funds for roads. So that is the role that we play. We have, you know, a unique opportunity that we have now, where the Department of Transport has, you know, entrusted us with the opportunity to house the Project Management Office for the PSP of the PSP implementation, and that is an opportunity, you know, for South Africa to enable the participation of, you know, of private sector in transport infrastructure.
Well, as we're talking about transport, a very, very interesting thing that was highlighted, that the DBSA is in a pilot phase of supporting the SA taxi industry. What would that look like, and what capacity would that be in?
I mean, you know, that is a pilot that we started with a taxi association to then say, let's do a pilot and see if you know, corporatize, you know, operating licenses by the vehicles and actually, you know, operate, you know, it's a pilot with one single route that we are doing, so that to then see, you know, what the results of that would then be. I mean, as you know, the taxi industry is a very critical industry in our country. You know, it is core to our economy, and this is another way to then say, how can we start, you know, testing different solutions to then say, how do we bring efficiency within the system? How do we enable, you know, participation in the infrastructure value chain by the industry?
There's the concept of being commercial, commercial viability versus bankability. And I'm wondering how much room the DBSA has in supporting non-commercially viable projects, but also your appetite to support projects in terms of making them bankable.
And when you look at, for instance, our infrastructure value chain, firstly we plan infrastructure, and the capability and the capacity to plan infrastructure we provide to our under-resourced municipal clients, where we get them technical expertise to actually do the infrastructure plans, the right studies, so that this infrastructure can be unlocked and they can get access to, for instance, the migrants for the infrastructure implementation, or even to front-loading facilities from our side. Then it's the preparation side. The preparation side is then when we support with the financial modeling, the permitting, all the technical, environmental assessments, and everything that is actually required for the project. That is something that we do on a project by project basis. But then there's also where we have programs, which is, for instance, the example that we made of the PSP program that we have. We have the embedded generation program for instance, where we support sponsors that actually want to generate their own energy, and then we mobilize concessional funding for that with our partners, so that we can provide a blended finance facility. Because the key thing with energy is, it must be accessible and it must be affordable.
Yes.
And I think that's what we really want to drive.
Talking about affordability, I mean, in this current economic climate, what kind of muscle then do your borrowers have in terms of paying you back? What does that debtors book look like in payments?
I think you saw when our CFO presented is that we've actually received record cash collections.
Wow.
This year to the tune of about 27 billion, and that's why when you look at the growth in our book, it's almost remained stagnant, where that money has increased our liquidity levels from instance to 10 billion to from 10 billion to 15 billion. So it actually shows that even in these difficult times, there are clients that are continuing to honor their payments, and I think it is important, that we continue to actually, demonstrate that capacity to lend, the capacity to receive, so that we can build on the strength for greater impact.
That was Boitumelo Mosako, CEO of the Development Bank of Southern Africa. That's where I leave things with you tonight. Be sure to catch the close again tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Until then, there's lots more coming up right here on Business Day TV, so stay tuned.